High school textbook season is officially here, and I bought a bunch of books over the last couple months that are now selling very profitably on Amazon. In today's video, I'm gonna go over a handful of those books that have been selling for me, and I can tell you something. There's a lot of money to be made with high school and college textbook season, and you shouldn't be on the sidelines. You should be going out there buying these books, taking action, because there's a lot of money to be made. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Joji Davenport. I'm a former high school chemistry teacher, and over the past decade, I've been buying a bunch of books on Amazon and flipping them right back on Amazon for a profit. And it's an awesome way to make extra money for yourself and your family. It's been doing that for me. So with that said, let's get right into it. The first book is actually a book for elementary school, but we're gonna go, lump sum it into the high school textbook season because elementary school, high school, middle school, all kind of starts at the same time. But mathematics for elementary school teachers, you can see here's the actual Amazon customer account. I bought this on March 15th of this year. I paid $29.99 for it. And when we scroll down to the keepa chart, you can actually see when I had purchased this. So I purchased it right here at 25 bucks plus shipping. I picked this up with BookMine. You can see in the previous August season, it was selling for like upwards of 160 bucks. Even in the January season, it was selling a little bit for between 60 to 80 bucks. And if I scroll down here to my orders page on Amazon, you can see that I just sold it a few days ago for $126.95. So if we put in the buy cost and the selling price, we made a $64 profit, a 200% return on investment. And the great thing is this is a book I never even touched. It went right to my prep center. The prep center then shipped it to the Amazon warehouse. And then now somebody bought the book, Amazon's gonna fulfill the book and send it to the actual customer. And this is the actual profit after all those fees taken out, including the prep fee. So bought it for 30 bucks, sold for 126, paid a bunch of fees, what everyone says, still made $64, 200% return on investment. This is not what I'd say is a typical book. This is definitely an insane return on this one book, but an awesome book. And I'll definitely be looking to buy this book again for the next season. It's not a book that has a ton of demand. It's a book that just kind of sells a few times. As you can see with the sales rank, there's only a handful of sales rank drops, in the August season, and then even a little bit in the January season. But this is a book I'll still be on the lookout for, maybe 1 or 2 copies. The next book we're gonna look at is a high school book, Authentico 2018 Student Edition. You can see I actually purchased this January 21st of this year, so I did definitely hold on to it for a while. And I do believe I bought multiple copies of this. You can see $19.99, bought it from another Amazon seller, $19.99 free shipping. Now, if we again scroll down to my order page, you can see that I have actually sold it multiple times. Once for 65, then I sold it again. It got returned and then I had to send it back in and sold here for 51 bucks. And then I had one order that was canceled. So yeah, $51.74. And if we go ahead and put in the purchase price and the selling price, $19.99 and $51, we made $11 profit, 58% return. Again, I never touched the book, which is awesome. All you have to do here is kind of identify that there's actually a selling season. And if you look at the year, let's say 2023 and 2024, and we look at the lowest use price of this book, always in July, August, this book spikes. It goes from being like 30 to 40 bucks in April, and then it goes up to 70 to 80 bucks in August. And then in 2024, the same thing happened. It got into the 20s into July and August when the season came and went up into the 50s and 60s. And then now the same thing has happened where in 2025, you could have picked this up really cheap for about, under 20 bucks. And then once again, even though the lowest use price hasn't really gone up yet, you can see that the offer count is starting to go down. It went from like 116 down to 84. So the offer count is definitely starting to go down. We're only about halfway through the season. You can see how the buy box price really has crept up, but that's what my target selling price was, right around 50 bucks. So happy to take a $11 profit, and let's go on to the next book. The next book is the Solutions for Algebra and Trigonometry. You can see I bought this January 23rd of this year, and I've actually bought this book multiple times. You can see $47.61 is how much I paid for it. So I put that cost price in. If we go ahead and look on the orders page, you can see I just sold it a few days ago for 115 bucks. So if we put in the purchase price and the selling price, we made a $40 profit, 80% return. Again, never touched the book, went right to the prep center, right to the Amazon warehouse, and then right to the customer. And after all the fees, we made a $40 profit, which is great. You can actually see right now that the current buy box price is a little bit cheaper. And you can actually see that the current lowest offer is right around 60 bucks. Now, this is a book in particular that if you go back further in time, it's actually a book that historically can get into the 30s and 40s, but then can do quite well. And at the lowest price, get well above 100 bucks. And so this is a book that I've only sold it the first time this year, but I have sold it multiple times in the past. I went ahead and put in the dates of January 1st of 2023 to January 1st of 2025. And you can see I've sold it multiple times, right around 100 bucks, 118, 112, 100. So I have a history of this book. And one of the things that will make you a better seller with online book arbitrage and Amazon to Amazon flips is to always remember which books you successfully flip and always be on the lookout for them in the case that there's still an opportunity to make money on them. The next book we're going to look at is a behavioral sciences stat book. And this is actually going to be not just a high school book, it's actually a college book. And the reason why I would say it's also a college book is there's also demand in January. Traditional high school books are really only going to have demand in sort of July and August, but this one has that demand in January with the sales rank. And I was able to pick up this book on November 15th of last year for a total of $24.07. So I put that purchase price in. And one tip here is that if you missed out on the July-August textbook season for both high school and college, it's okay, right? Because you're just learning about that right now. And guess what? In January, there's going to be a college textbook season. And in October, November, and December, there's going to be plenty of opportunity. Way more books than you'll be able to buy. You won't have enough money to buy, a fraction of the books that are out there. So if you're somebody who's like really excited about this, then make sure, one, you sign up for BookMine Mini. It's a free lead service that, Victor Gallegos and I put together. You get basically 50 free book leads every 2 hours. It's basically 600 book leads for free every single day. So make sure you sign up. That will be linked down below in the description. But in October, November, December, there's going to be plenty of college textbooks that are showing up there that you could buy and have a really quick turnaround time on. So if you missed out, don't worry. Guess what? College and high school and all these other seasonal events like Christmas, they're not canceled. They're coming again and again and again. And the way I know that is every single year, for some reason, Christmas comes. Every single year, high school starts again. I don't know what it is, but it just happens every year. And as a society, we agree that's what's going to happen. So no, it's okay if you missed out because of the fact that there's plenty of time in the future. Anyways, this book, we'll go and look at what we bought it, sold it for. Looks like we sold it actually multiple times, 85, 80, 85, 75. So multiple times. And if I just go ahead and put in $75 as the selling price, you can see I made a $29 profit over 100% return. Again, never touched this book. I bought it, shipped it right to the prep center. The prep center shipped it right to the Amazon warehouse. The customer bought it. Then Amazon shipped the book to the customer. I paid a bunch of fees and made $29 profit, and did that all from sitting at home. And it didn't take me very long to buy this book. I mean, it's pretty obvious to see this book's pattern over the last, couple of years where price gets lower in the off season. And then right before this season, it goes back up in price. And so again, I bought it right in November when the price was a little bit lower. And yeah, prices went up into the 60s and 70s in January of this year. And then again, sitting in the 60s, and the buy box price is right around 70. So again, another book that we will be looking for, or I will be looking for to buy again and refund. Next book we have is actually a college textbook. Again, maybe this is going to actually be more college textbooks. I don't know. I just randomly picked some. Well, I thought they were mostly high school books, but now they're looking like it's a mix of high school and college textbooks. So sorry about that. But we have Connect Core Concepts. This is a loose leaf edition. You can actually see over here on the right that this is a loose leaf. I love flipping loose leaves because they tend to be books that hold value, right? Because the reason why a loose leaf would be created is because the hardcover or paperback is too expensive. And so the loose leaf is a cheaper alternative. So if there is a loose leaf, it just means that the hardcover or paperback is probably even more expensive. So this loose leaf generally is quite expensive as well. We bought this on February 5th of this year. And again, this is not made up, right? This is like my actual real account. I bought this for $29.76 on February 5th. And if we go ahead and scroll down and look at the order page, you can see that I sold it for $67.97 a couple of days ago. I sold it for actually a little bit higher a week ago, but it was canceled. In that case, when someone buys it and it gets canceled, it just means the book hadn't shipped yet. So somebody bought it, and before Amazon shipped it, the customer came back and said, "Oh, whoa, actually, I don't want it. I'm going to cancel it." And so nothing happens. Actually, the book just stays on the shelf. So I sold it a couple months ago for $74. I sold it in the January textbook season for $75 a couple of times as well. And probably what this sell was probably this return. So in any business, you do get returns for books. For me, it's right around like 5 to 6 to 7% of my total books get returned. But then you have to remember, we're flipping used books. So when you sell a used book and someone returns it and it comes back to you, it's still a used book. And that's the beauty of this business. It's not like traditional online arbitrage where you buy brand new Nike, a brand new pair of Nikes. They're awesome, look what, and then you ship them to the customer, and the customer wears them once and like, I don't like it, and they ship back to you. Well, guess what? Those are not new anymore, right? There's a little scuff on them, they're used, and then you have to figure out where else to sell it. The beauty and the simplicity of this model is they're books, they're used books. If you sell a used book and it gets returned, guess what? It's still a used book, and so you ship it right back in. And even though it does suck, guess what? Returns happen in every single business. It doesn't matter what the business is. Every single business has returns at some level. But the great thing about books is that even though I might get between 5 or 6 or 7% returns, the overwhelming majority of those go right back in because they're still sellable. And so the real return rate in my business is about 1%. In other words, not very many books that get returned to me are not sellable. In some cases, I'll get a book back and let's say the spine is broken beyond repair, or maybe, the person returned the wrong book, or maybe the cover is missing, something like that, right? But I'd say, 9 out of 10 cases, a book gets returned. Guess what? It goes right back to the Amazon warehouse. Maybe has to sell at a later date, but hey, it's very rare that you can do that in any other business. So awesome here. We made a total profit of $17 and a 58% return. And this is, again, another college textbook because it does have that September and January seasonality. Now, this is one of those books that did much better, later on in 2020, 2021, 2022. And that's kind of when I started flipping this book. So I've been flipping this book for about, 4 years now. And it's starting to become a little bit less relevant, which is what you'd expect with college and high school textbooks anyways, is that as they age, they generally do become, less relevant because of the new editions that are coming out. And you can actually see that there is a newer edition of this book. And so all that means is now we're over time going to transition to the newer edition to now flipping this one. And what that means is I'm really going to be looking at this Keepa graph hard going into the next 4 or 5 years. And whenever this particular copy gets low, I'm now going to start buying this one. And so it's a really cool evolution that when multiple editions or new editions come out, guess what? You can still flip those books because they will now become the new relevant book. And guess what? This book, 4 or 5 years, will probably have a new edition again, and then you'll move on to that book. And that's the beauty of this business. The next book that we're going to show you is a annotated teacher's edition. And a lot of people don't think a lot of people think you cannot sell teacher's editions on Amazon. You absolutely can, as long as the listing clearly states that, as long as the image shows that. You can see on the image, it says teacher's edition. You can see in the listing, it says teacher's edition. So if you were a customer and you came to this listing, what do you think you're getting? Oh, according to the title and in the picture, I think I'm getting a teacher's edition. Therefore, this is actually a book that you could sell. You just don't want to sell the student edition on this listing or vice versa. In any case, if we scroll down here, you can actually see why I picked this book up. In September, November, December, January of this year, it was selling, not a lot, just a couple of times here or there for 50, 60 bucks. And then in June, it underwent this massive repricing war between a couple of sellers. I was able to pick up, I believe, 2 copies of this book for right around $7. And this was actually found on BookMine Explorer. BookMine Explorer, if you're not familiar with what that is, that's a secondary arm of the BookMine branch, where if you are a BookMine member, you also have BookMine Explorer, which is the sort of books that I really enjoy. These books that sell less frequently but consistently and can have the potential of having massive ROI margins. So I'm going to scroll up and show you the orders here. Bought this on June 27th of this year. You can see I paid $7.08. And you can actually see there are 3 orders of this. So I would have paid right around $7 for each of these copies. And if we look at the orders page here, you can see I've already sold 2 of them for $49.97 and $49.74. So again, not a book that's going to sell a ton, but it is a seasonal book, right? It is a book about high school, or it's either middle school or high school, I'm not sure. But it's a book about, it is a seasonal book is the point I'm trying to make. And so I bought it for $7.08, flipped it for $49.97, made a $25 profit. And this is what I mean, a massive return on investment. And I did this twice. So this is like a $50 profit book. And plus I still have another copy that I need to sell. But even if that other copy doesn't sell, I'm still very profitable. And yeah, just a great book. Now, of course, when I am looking at these books, especially if they're seasonal, I am looking at more data going beyond just a year to see, is it a common thing for this to have demand during the August textbook season? And you can see, that there's always a lower sales rank. There are more sales rank drops during that time of year. So again, that's the reason why I felt comfortable picking this up. And yeah, it made some great money. Next book we're going to look at is actually a college textbook, Visual Anatomy and Physiology Lab Manual. It's the main version. You can see that I bought this June 10th of 2025. We bought it for $43.70. And if we scroll down here to the Keepa graph, again, another one of these lab manuals that has been selling for quite a long time. So I've been flipping this book again for 4 or 5 years, and it's more than likely, on its way out. There's probably going to be a new edition soon. It's not selling as much as it used to, but still flippable, right? I mean, this really didn't get much cheaper than what I was able to purchase it for. And if we scroll down to the order page, you can see that I've been able to flip it multiple times, 89, 80, 95, 89, 89, 87. So I'm looking at, buying for right around 43, selling for like 87, making about $20 per copy. And you might be thinking that's only a 40% return, which really is an amazing return in business. In all honesty, a 44% ROI. And this is, getting close to like a 23% profit margin, right? For every $100 in revenue on this book, you're making like $23 profit. I mean, that's a pretty good profit margin. And again, you can see I've sold multiple copies. So if you just think that every one of these books that you had was at least, on average was a $20 profit, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 just in this season. So it's a $100 profit book. And this is a book that a lot of people, wouldn't buy. I mean, that's why I didn't buy more than 5 copies. It's not a book that tends to sell a lot, but you can see with the offer count how, obviously tons of people are, a lot of people are buying it, right? If the offer count goes from 18 down to like 2 in the matter of a couple of weeks in January, like obviously there's demand for it. Plenty, there's a decent number of sales ring drops. So anyways, it's a book that I've been flipping for a long time. And it's a book that, over the years I've probably made, so I made $100 in this season on it. I've probably made close to $1,000 on this book over the last few years. So another great book. All right, and the last book that I'm gonna show you is this marketing and management book, I believe. And I bought this on July 1st. So this was actually a really quick turnaround. And if I look at the order page, you can see I bought this for $34.04. Again, yet another BookMine pickup. You can really see how last August, September, this book had a massive mountain. The lowest use price got up into the 70s. You can see in January that it got up there into the 60s as well. And so anyways, I was able to buy this for 34. And if I scroll down to the graph here, you'll see that I was able to sell it I sold it 7 months ago. So it looks like maybe I have another one in stock, but I had sold it 7 months ago. It got returned, sent it right back to Amazon. But this one sold for 72. So we put in 34 as a purchase price, 72 as a selling price, $16 profit, 47% return. And this is, again, another book that you could have bought multiple copies of. So yeah, awesome. So again, if you missed out on this season, don't worry. There's another college textbook season coming up in January. October, November will be great times to buy books. Make sure you sign up for BookMine Mini for free. And lastly, Books and Beyond is coming to Las Vegas, Nevada. Make sure you grab your tickets. It was an amazing time last year in 2024. There's going to be, just a lot of awesome speakers there, a lot of people who are 6- and 7-figure booksellers. So if you're somebody who wants to elevate your game, the easiest way to do that is put yourself in an environment with people who are bigger than you, because that will naturally just make you think different and think bigger. Plus, there's just a ton of energy there. You get to meet me, Victor, Avery, Steve, and just a bunch of other awesome speakers and just attendees. So make sure you join Books and Beyond. Make sure you also sign up for BookMine Mini. Again, it's free, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.